Okay, today we're gonna be going over chapter 5 in configuration. We'll be jumping around between some of the sections in chapter 5. I am going through the IBM Red Book certification guide for the P5 P5P series for System Administration Exam Test 222. This isn't the latest exam, but it covers a lot of essential parts, and there isn't a new book out at this point. Um, so let's go ahead and jump into chapter 5. Um, chapter 5 deals with a lot of configuration aspects of administrator's task. Um, I wish there were more, but in this chapter, and I don't understand why some of the things are in here that doesn't make sense why it's in here. But in terms of the chapter saying configuration, but let's go ahead and jump into it. ODM. When Unix was first developed, um, there was a saying in Unix, everything is a file. Okay, even they would say the directory is actually a special file. Um, and so one of the things that IBM did early on and really enhanced the quality of the Unix was create a database. And this database uh, kept track of critical information about the operating system, about the devices, virtual product data, referring to the installation software, um, the system controller that we spoke about in some of the other videos that controls the daemons. All of that is kept in the ODM. The error logs, NEM, which is the Network Installation Manager, it's also managed by that. And one of the second thing that IBM leads compared to all the other Unix players out there. One was developing this ODM. Second was the development of SMIT, and then all of the SMIT um, information is in the ODM. The menus, the selectors, the diet, everything in there is in the ODM. Um, we don't do much with a typically we don't do much with the ODM. We can modify it. There's ways to modify it. There's commands. There's ways to search in the uh, search the database. But I haven't yet in my 7 to 8 years of Unix administration, and 13 years of just IT experience I have, that I haven't once had to go into the ODM to do any modification or any adjustment or what have you. Um, so it's more of a general knowledge. Hey, we have something called ODM, and this is what it is, and this is the functionality of it, and they actually give you some of the commands for the ODM. Um, I really don't know why, because we don't do too much about the ODM. All we need to know that there's a database out there, and which keeps track of lots of critical information about the operating system. We do not access the ODM directly by using these commands. Um, so, if you like to take a look at it, you could, but overall, you really don't need to. It's not necessary. Many of the commands, LSVG, LSPV, all these commands, there are like the front end to get information from the ODM. So you don't need to even know these commands in order to, get the information. The other commands, ls cfg, ls attributes, all these commands actually access the ODM and gets information from it. Okay, so we mentioned a little bit about SMIT. SMIT stands for System Management Interface 2, SMIT. Very, very powerful, very useful command. Um, it really simplifies the Unix administration process, everywhere from software installation, user creation, anything that you can imagine that you want to do as a system administrator. Uh, if you don't know how to do it, pretty much if you go into Smith, you can figure out how to do it, or accomplish your task which was given to you as a system administrator. And we will go through look through the Smit logs and some of the Smitty and see it. Let's go ahead and look right now. So basically, just type in Smit on the command prompt. There's a certain requirements for the page, the rows and the columns. So if you get an error saying that it cannot start out because of this many columns, just adjust your window and you should have no problem. So as you can see, it's menu driven. Everywhere from software installation, maintenance, software licensing, devices, storage, this LVM, user and security, communication, application devices, printing, advanced accounting, problem determination, and so forth and so forth. There's so much that you can do with it. If you're familiar with the clustering software that IBM has, HACMP, now referred to as Power HA. Um, all of that configuration is done through Smit. And I've done a little bit of Veritas, and comparatively, configuring HSCMP is a lot more simplified compared to configuring a Veritas cluster. I haven't done Red Hat, so I can't comment on the Red Hat. But NIM setup and configuration, or using and managing your cluster using Smit. I mean, anything that you want to do, you can go through it. You can go go through the commands. You can reset password. You can add password. If I want to add a user right now, I go through user one, hit enter, and I don't have the permissions. But if I did have the permissions, I would be able to create a user with no problem whatsoever. So let's do that really quick so that you can see what a typical output looks like. User one. User one already exists, so I probably created in some other extra time. User two. That's it. Okay, when you get an OK on top, that means it's completed. The job is done and finished. And you gotta use Escape 3 to go back. If you want to go back to a menu option, you use Escape 3. Let me go through some of these using it, because I remember a lot of users have difficulties. So now, if you look at on the corner, there's a star here. Okay, and that's the only field I filled out. Now the star means that that field is required. Okay, if there's no star, that means it's not a required field. I don't have to fill it out. It has default values. It'll figure it out. It'll fill it out. It's by its own self. Like the home directory. It'll put it in /home. UID. It'll give you the next available number for the UID. Okay, so that's how easy it is. Now, there are plus signs over here. Okay, plus signs basically means that you can uh, select from a list. Okay, I can go escape 4, and this will bring a list for me. Okay, and then I can go up and down and pick my answer. Over here, this saying dollar. There's a dollar. There's a pound sign over here, referring to that this is a number, and you need to give me a number over here. Okay, so so escape 3 again to go back. So just really quick introduction to Smit, a very nice tool. Um, and there are some things called a fast path. Okay, and we use fast path a lot. So instead of going through the whole menu, I could have just done SMIT user, and that would take me directly to where I want to do to create a user. Okay, if I said SMIT LV, okay, that takes me to the location where I can create, add changes, remove, copy a logical volume. Escape 0 exits you out of SMIT. So you got escape 3, which uh, which lets you back out of the menu. You got escape 4, which gives you a drop down list if there's one available. And then you got escape 0, which backs you out. And there's a lot more. Okay, so always pay attention to what's going on. People don't pay attention. People don't read. Okay, there's help down here. Okay, so let's say you need to figure out how to do something. You need to create something. You want to script it up. You don't want to keep on going to Smit. You want to be able to figure out how to do it using the command line. Not a problem. Smit tells you what command it uses to to run this to do this to create to add the user. So you do escape. A lot of times the F functions don't work, so you have to use an escape and a 6. Okay, so this shows you the program. The small It's a small script that runs to calculate this. Okay, so the command is called make user, and it goes through and figures out the values that you have set, and it runs it. And then there's a log file that you can look through and try to figure out what the command is. Sometimes it's difficult to figure out the actual command that you can from here, and a lot of times it's very straightforward. The reason why this is so complex because it's actually using the screen to get the answer, is using the screen for input and output. Okay, so it actually loops through each line and sees if you change any values, and then create and puts it in the parameter and creates the account for you. Okay, there are 3 files that are created: Smit Log, Smit Script, and Smit Transaction. Basically, giving you what happened. What did you try to do? Exact same thing in the user. This is exactly what it did. Okay. Now, the log is actually the output of the where you had the OK sign. When you hit enter, it didn't really give you much. So that's what the output is. Um, so that is about it. Smitty is a it's a very nice administrative tool. So we will finish up. This is part 1 of chapter 5 configuration and IBM certification study guide for test 222 AIX 5.3. Thank you. Bye bye.